Okay, we have a small group, so we're going to go ahead and get things started. We also have a pretty short agenda this evening, so not uncommon for our August meeting. Summer days tend to be filled with plans, so we'll get started. And if other folks join us, great. If not, we've got a nice little group here, and we can all go through it together. So I'm going to bring the agenda up on the screen. I'll also share that in chat, just in case anyone wants to follow along on your own. Our agenda will, of course, also include this month's treasurer report. So one moment here. Okay, so there's a version in chat, and let's get this pulled up on the screen. All right. So again, as I mentioned, pretty small agenda tonight, but we'll just do our normal welcomes. Everyone who's here has joined us before for Zoom meetings, so that's wonderful. Obviously, we ask folks just keep your microphones muted unless you have a question or are speaking. Not as big of a problem with the smaller group, but just to make sure everyone can be easily heard. Eric is not able to join us this evening, so I'm going to be displaying the treasurer's report that he sent over. I will go over some of the quick notes he also provided and try to answer any questions anyone may have. And of course, if there's anything I can't answer, we will send those to Eric so he can respond after the meeting. So I'll go here to the balance sheet. For the most part, I've just got these couple notes from Eric. There is a notation here where we are going to be expecting some expenses to come in this coming month. So you should see this on next month's report for the 2021 t-shirts, primarily in the Summer Fun Days shop. So we've not yet paid for those, but there will be expenses associated based on all of the orders that are coming through. We'll talk more about that on the income statement as well. We will also see an income amount for a refund from the bank, which we'll touch on. We are expecting to issue both scholarships in this month as well. At least one of the winners has responded, and we do expect to cut the check for them very soon. I'll let Lauren talk more about the scholarship and the winners and the amount as we move on. So that is the balance sheet. I'll move on here to the income statement. You will see there is an income amount that does not reflect in this current month, but will for the next, and that is the refund that we received from the bank. The bank actually cashed one of last year's scholarships twice. So they corrected their error and refunded $1,000 that was issued into the account. So we've retrieved those funds, which Eric has been working with the bank to get that resolved. So fortunately, that's been resolved now. We also had a couple of memberships come in, and let's see here, just some funds from the actual Fun Days shop. So where we've been selling t-shirts and some mugs and bags that we've had for years past. So it's been pretty exciting. We'll talk about the t-shirts a little more later this evening. I will stop the share just so I can see if anyone has anything. Are there any questions on that immediately, Tom or Vicky? Nope. Okay.
I'm good.
All right. Okay, cool. So yeah, obviously if there's anything that comes up, Eric will be happy to answer later. Other than that, I'm going to turn the floor over to Lauren to talk about the scholarship, what the committee decided, and what we'll be awarding.
Hey everyone. Yep, so the committee had $2,500, and we ended up selecting 2 students. Their names are Ronmel Robinson and James Sullivan. So they are each receiving funds in the scholarship, which is really exciting. Just a little information, and we are, brainstorming and if we want to maybe try to meet up with these students to just do a little photo op, or anything like that. See if we can get them to attend, even virtually, just a meeting, show their faces. So we'd love to be able to highlight them a little bit more. But Ron Mel lives on 17th Street, and he is going to be studying graphic art and design at Otterbein University. So that's exciting. And then James Sullivan lives on Southwood, and he is going to also be studying graphic design at Columbus State. So just a little bit of info about our Southside scholarship winners that we're really excited about. So yeah, that's all.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lauren. So excited that we were able to, the community really came together to raise those funds for us very quickly this year. So super pumped that there were applications and folks to award those to. All right, so we will move on here to talk a bit about Summer Fun Days, which you may or may not have experienced for yourself so far. We do have the weekly yoga, or it's actually not just yoga, sometimes it's HIIT, so Fitness in the Park. That continues this Saturday. That's every Saturday at 9 a.m. Should there be rain, there's a possibility of a rain date the following day on Sunday, so just keep an eye on social media for that. We also have the third Thursday rather of this month, we will have a second food truck, and that's going to be Explorers Club, which is local here to Merion Village. So very excited to have them join us. The committee will be meeting next week and we'll be talking about this more, but it sounds like we're going to expand kind of the food truck and fun event, which is right now food trucks, and people can bring lawn games and picnic blankets to the park and kind of enjoy the evening. But we may be adding to that some yoga. Tom, do you want to touch on that at all?
Sure. Libby, who's one of our residents here in Merion Village, reached out to me. She teaches yoga and wanted to do one in combination with the third Thursday. So we'll also have yoga on third Thursday at 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. free or donation based, as are the rest of them. But she actually lives in the neighborhood and was very excited about it and wanted to do extra stuff. So we said, sure, why not? So you can join us for that and then get Explorers Club and undo all the work you just did with the yoga. So that's the plan. And we had, I think, 26 people last Saturday.
Cool.
This Saturday looks to be another nice day. And we'll also have Amanda Reynolds, who is also a resident of Merion Village, teaching it this Saturday. So come out. Weather's supposed to be partly cloudy, fairly nice. Maybe a little warmer than last week, but still good for what we're doing. So see you there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tom. Tom's been coordinating that this year, actually the last couple of years, as we've done things with yoga in the park. It's been really popular, so really exciting to give people an opportunity to do that for really 3 months in a row. Thrilled to see that back. Okay, let's also talk about, I'm going to share my screen one more time here. Let's just briefly make sure everyone has seen our lovely 2021 t-shirts. So we did issue a contest really for someone to design a temporary logo that we use just for this year for a special run of t-shirts as part of Fun Days. So these are the options. We've got a gray shirt and an orange shirt. And then of course, for the first time ever, we're offering a tank top with the design. So very excited about this. These were designed by Kevin Glenn, who lives here in Merion Village. And very excited to have this really cool design and get to share this with everyone. T-shirts are available in the store now. Because these are handmade items, they are actually being made to order. So if you do go order a t-shirt in the store, it is likely that you may not receive that shirt until probably October, because we have to print them in batches and the first batch has already gone to print. So you'll get your shirt for sure, or shirts, but may not happen until October. So just look forward to that and hope that everyone really enjoys the design. I know I'm personally a huge fan. I think it looks great. Cannot wait to get my shirts and, see them in action. So let's see here. Also on Fun Days, something else you'll be seeing from us soon is more on the community art mural that we are trying to do. We've put out applications, or rather interest forms, for local artists to connect with us and let us know if they'd be interested in helping us design and conceptualize a mural on a local building here in Merion Village, a business actually. And so as of the last check, we had received, I think, 12 interest forms or applications. That's huge. Lots for us in the committee to talk about next week when we meet to figure out who we'd like to work with. As part of that, because a mural is a very big undertaking and can be very costly, we will be launching a Facebook fundraiser to hopefully help fund this mural and actually get it live. So look forward to that, and we'll be sharing more information as we have it, again, once we've kind of selected an artist and know more about what that process will look like and what kind of funds we are hoping to raise. So very excited about that as well. Okay, that's all we have for Fun Days right now. So I'm going to move on. Committee update wise, we don't have anything tonight for zoning, beautification, or membership actually. The social committee primarily right now is helping us to host those third Thursday kind of events in the park. It's part of Fun Days right now, but that was actually conceptualized a bit before Fun Days. So excited to do that. I don't think Mike has anything else on that right now, since those are what's upcoming. But of course, if there's anything new to share, I know he's very eager to keep some options open for folks. So we'll definitely share more when we have more.
Yes, I do have something that came up
Okay.
that I heard about that kind of ties to zoning.
Okay.
There was a resident who, there was a garage being demolished, and that was part of her fenced-in backyard.
Okay.
And she had no warning when it was being done, and they demolished it. And she had her pets in her backyard. So is there some way we can look into trying to make there be requirements to notify the neighbors, especially in a situation where it's going to, where she didn't even have an opportunity to put up a temporary fence? And, I know there's a lot of pet lovers out there, myself included. That would be pretty dramatic thing to happen one day. And apparently the person who was doing the work was not very kind. So,
Vicki, so this actually came up at their last commission meeting, and was discussed specifically for that case. And we have requested that the city implement a new rule that requires a 72-hour notice of that demolition to the adjacent residents, so that
I don't know if 72 hours. I mean, somebody could be on, I don't know, vacation, the homeowner contact. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it's a reasonable period of time to notify
The notices
someone.
do go out depending on the type of demolition, either 10 days or up to 30 days, depending on the type prior. So notices are sent out and should be given during those time period. And then this is an additional notice that's at that 72-hour for the actual work to be performed. So the notice of demolition goes out, but it doesn't necessarily have a date attached to it, just that something is going to happen.
Right.
And the new requirement that we're asking for would make it so that there's a more immediate, hey, this is actually happening this date, this week or whatever. So it's kind of a double notice that will be received at that point. So that's what we were asking for. It's not in code or anything yet, but we've asked the Development Commission and Department of Neighborhoods to implement that. And I guess we'll just see if they do or not.
That's helpful. That's awesome. Thanks, Tom. Really appreciate the commission doing that, because that's definitely frustrating. But of course, it does require the city to kind of step in and create this requirement so that we can put it in place.
Yeah, ideally, in that situation, the owner of the property that's demolishing it, when it's an adjacent fence, would, notify their neighbor. But
right.
If we have to, make a rule on it because they're not doing it, then, that's what we'll have to do.
Well, and I know myself from passing out these flyers, you are putting them somewhere where you don't know if they'll get ruined in the rain, or you don't know if they'll get blown away. So it may not necessarily be that the neighbors receive the notice.
So the demolition notice is from the city. And
So it's
that
mailed.
would come
Actually,
in the
piece of
mailbox
mail?
versus like just us handing out.
Okay, so it's actually a piece of mail that's received.
Correct. And
Okay.
so that's the issue with here, I can actually turn my video since I'm talking to you. So that's actually the one of the big differences is, instead of like the zoning notices that we pass out, which is just us doing it manually, and we can't put it in the mailbox, just like you can't do any type of solicitation.
Yeah.
This would be an official piece of mail that would arrive in the mailbox. I mean, again, that's part of that 72 hours to make sure that the city has time to get it there officially. And that's not going to get missed, but we'll do what we can. That's the new proposal on the table.
Okay. So prior to the 72 hours, someone just gets the notices that we put out? I'm sorry, I just really want to understand from a perspective of the homeowner and how I would
It depends on exactly which type of demolition is being performed. And there will also be there's a requirement right now that notices, like with red notices, be posted on the building being demolished. That's already a requirement right now, so that if you were walking by, you would see this one has a demolition notice on it. So that's currently in place today. But it's more to make sure that like we're actively trying to get a hold of people to let them know.
How are they notified 72 hours before? Are they notified by us putting the notices out there that something could happen to, or are they notified in the mail that it's happening.
So
So
this
they
is the
have a formal
proposed-
notice prior
This is
to.
the proposed rule, so this is not in effect now.
Current rule. What is the current rule?
The current rule is the 10-day or 30-day,
And
depending.
how are they notified? How do they?
Email.
That is by mail, I believe.
Perfect, okay. And the new one will continue with that and just have some addition, correct?
Correct. So the 10-day or the 30-day is a notice that the building will be demolished, but does not have a specific date attached to when that demolishment will happen. So that's one of the things that's the clarification. So like in this case, the resident probably received a piece of mail saying that, you know, the garage was going to be demolished, but they didn't know the exact day that it was going to be demolished, which
Yeah.
is where the issue is created.
Yeah.
So having an extra step there that says, okay, within 72 hours, and I don't know exactly what the 72 hours looks like. It may end up being something where they get like a knock on the door even of like someone notifying from the city that, hey, this is happening, and just, you know, to make sure that there's not an issue created.
Okay, that's awesome.
Again, I don't know what the final rule looks like yet. We've asked the city to take this under advisement. They've been very receptive to it. So
Great.
that's where we are.
That's
Okay.
good to hear.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, all right, we will move on here to Southside Area Commission updates. So Tom, don't go away. It's your turn.
I don't have that much. We had our meeting last month standard. It was in person. We are required to be in person now for area commission meetings, just like city council is required because the orders expired. And from an open meetings laws, sunshine laws, we're required to hold those in person. We can't do them online anymore. We are looking at options to do it hybrid. Still trying to develop what that looks like. It's probably going to be just essentially a recorded meeting. So you could watch it live on, you know, YouTube or whatever, but there probably is not a function there to be able to provide feedback over the internet. It's probably just going to be, you can view it or view the recording via the internet, but you'd have to be there in person for providing like in-person testimony, that kind of thing. Just functionally, it's very difficult to run a hybrid meeting if you have particularly like 20, 30 people in a room and have the online feedback is very difficult to solicit that and run that meeting effectively. So that's kind of where we're headed right now. We are probably going to be back at the library for our next meeting. We are off in August, as is council. So no meetings are happening with council until September 13th is the next date. So area commission also takes it off because, you know, council's off, so it's not like we can do anything anyway. So that's kind of it, really. Standard stuff, trying to work through how the future meetings look. The committees will also be returning to in person. So zoning committee, the safety, health, welfare, and equity that I chair, and then the Public Services Committee that Aaron Sink chairs will all be in person starting in September. And none of those committees are meeting for August as well. So everyone gets August off.
August is probably a good time to take off. It's normally a time where meeting attendance is typically pretty low, so we get that. Okay, well, thank you for sharing what you had, Tom. All right, Vicki, do you have anything you'd like to share from the Black Watch?
Yes, I have several things, but the city council has amended city code to strengthen the enforcement for short-term rentals and reckless operation of off-road vehicles. So I think everybody's probably pretty happy about that. I think it's caused some pain in the neighborhoods and streets. So the details are available on our Facebook page. Just Google Connected Protect Block Watch and they have the details of what the code changes are. We are pretty excited to announce that we're going to be hosting a Q&A session with Commander Ware from the 11th Precinct and Chief Bryant. It's going to be held on August 17th from 6 to 8 p.m. at St. Mary's. We've invited the 4 neighborhoods, even, you know, Merion Village people that are in the 13th Precinct are welcome to come. We're trying to get one together for the 13th Precinct, but we don't have it scheduled yet. So where they would have the commander from the 13th Precinct, but please come to the 11th Precinct if you're interested. Let's see. We've invited the staff and parents at the school and all the private schools in the area just because parents may want to come and hear what the chief has to say about crime because they have kids walking to school and everything. So we're going to do note cards and have people come by note cards and then go through and put like questions, and then they'll be reading the questions out to the chief. So I hope everyone can make it. We're really looking forward to it. So think about questions you might have. If you can't, I'm going to be there. I'll be happy to write the questions down for you. We're trying to, like I said, we're trying to coordinate another event for the 13th precinct where the 13th precinct commander is going to be in attendance also. Block watch meetings have been rescheduled beginning September 21st through September 22nd. They're going to be the third Wednesday of the month, and they'll be the same time, 6:30 to 8, Parsons Library from room 3. We have those scheduled. And again, we are going to be doing in-person meetings. We'll get notes and things together afterwards. I'm not sure how we'll publish those. If people want to join the block watch, maybe we can send an email out. We haven't jumped into that yet. We tried to get a website and we had someone helping us with it, a business that was letting us helping coordinate, but the person's been really busy and we haven't been able to get it worked out where we could post them someplace. So, but we're still working on that. So the first meeting is September 15th, and they'll provide a handout at that time of the rest of the meetings. If you have any input of things you would like to be discussed in the meetings, any of the future meetings, please just forward an email to Connect to Protect Block Watch of topics or anything that might interest you. We start trying to schedule and figure out what we're going to have at all the meetings. So, the Citizen app has been identified as having some things on there that really didn't happen. There were some things that were listed on the Citizen app, maybe where a phone call came in, but when we checked into what really occurred, we were able to find that something occurred on it. So someone, Dee was interviewed from the Daily Dot, which I guess they described themselves as the hometown newspaper of the World Wide Web, about the Citizen app. So the article hasn't been published yet, but Dee had been trying to do research when people would ask about certain things that showed up on Citizen. Another thing that you can do is there's a spot crime website that you can enter your address and it'll pull up all the crime in the area, and you can do it on a date range and you can do it by specific date if you're concerned about some crimes that may have been occurring in your neighborhood. It comes up with a spreadsheet type form. It's not really a spreadsheet that has a whole lot of data in it, but you can narrow it down by precincts and regions if you go back in and search on that content and date, if you delve into it a little bit. If you are having trouble with it, shoot a note to the Block Watch and Dee can get an email to me and I can try to help you with it because I'm pretty familiar with it. There was a known sex offender with an open warrant seen in and around Schiller Park who's been recently arrested by the Franklin County Sheriff's Office. It's just a good time to remind everybody that the parks are not safe after dark. That when you're out, travel with awareness, unplug and pay attention to what's happening around you. Let's see. We did post 12 yellow slow down signs in the area close to all the schools in our boundaries. And we also placed one on Parsons and one on Thurman and 4th. And we've asked for additional signs in the hope of placing more in high traffic areas where there's been a lot of speeding.
I did the same. I posted one at Thurman right after Long John Silver's, and one over right by the Barrack too.
Oh, great. Yeah, Thurman's pretty high speed, even though it has the four-way stop. But we're continuing to work on social issues such as illegal dumping, drug houses, prostitution, exposing porch pirates and thieves. If you have an issue, don't hesitate to reach out. Just send a note to the Block Watch. And that's pretty much what's been happening the last month or so. Any questions?
Actually, I do have a question just because a couple people asked me. I know a lot of folks that are not part of like Merion Village or even the Blackwatch boundaries from when I did Southside Leadership Academy. There are some folks kind of on the other side of Parsons that I think are still in the 11th precinct, but they're not part of the 4 core neighborhoods of the Blackwatch that asked about the upcoming event and whether or not they are welcome to attend as well, even though they're not part of the Blackwatch neighborhoods.
I'm gonna have to talk to Dee about
Okay.
it. I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay.
I don't think she knows how many people are going to show up, and there's a limited amount of space. So
Right.
she did want to offer it to the schools that were in our area. Let me ask her,
Okay.
and I'll have her reach out and
Perfect.
answer you with that. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. That's
Any
all I
other
have.
questions? Sorry, I'm not able to answer that.
No, that's okay. That's okay. It would have been like if you'd asked me some big question on the treasurer's report, I wouldn't have been able to answer. So totally get it. All
Any
right.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you again, Vicki. These have been great updates. I love having you here each month to share those. So thank you for continuing to do that.
You're welcome.
Okay, we are actually almost at the end here. Just a reminder that there are some, activities and events happening. The Southside Market, only 4 more Saturdays of that at Austin and Company and at Wanderlust Studios. So if you haven't checked it out, be sure to do so. Running out of opportunities. Of course, we talked about our food truck events and our fitness in the park. So I hope you'll check those out. I will open the floor for questions or any other items, and I even have one to share myself. So I will share that quickly and then just open the floor. I think we all have experienced the recent power brownouts and blackouts that have, been happening a bit more than I've lived in the South Side my entire life, and this is more than I'm used to them happening. So we actually, just for our house, did something with AEP. We requested what they call a quality of service investigation. So we reported that and then didn't hear anything for a few days. And then we actually got a call from AEP. They left us a message to basically say, we know there's problems. They're probably not going to stop for a couple of years because there are major plans in place, some underground work, possibly a new service station, but essentially that we really shouldn't expect to see a lot of improvement for the next couple of years. So personally, does not sound great to me. And I know I work from home now. I think a lot of people do. And so when we have, 4, 5, 6 hours of no power in the middle of the day or at night when it's 80 degrees, it's a challenge. So don't really know that there's much anyone can do on that at this point, but you can request a quality of service investigation for your address if you're having problems. Of course, it sounds like we're all kind of in the same boat. So what I'm probably going to do personally is just kind of reach out and maybe get a bit more information, because dealing with, repeated power outages for the next 2 years doesn't sound ideal. So I don't know if anybody else has heard anything else about that, but that's just the information I've gotten so far.
I do have a question. Did they indicate that they could do planned outages so people would know when they were going to have the outage, so you could make sure, you're charged up or you're not in the middle of some critical thing that has to be completed by that time?
So the outages that are happening are not outages because they're doing work. It's because things are failing, and essentially it's equipment failure, and they know that it's a problem. I think a big part of it is that the grids we have in place maybe really can't sustain us because there's been additional housing or additional businesses, and the grids haven't been upgraded appropriately for our area. So the outages that we've experienced have not been planned. They have not been intentional. I think the most recent one that kind of got me to request this myself happened at about 9:30 or 10 at night, and the power wasn't predicted to come back on until 2 a.m. and it was like 84 degrees. And I'm thinking, how can we possibly sleep in this and then go to work tomorrow? And it ended up coming back on around maybe 12:30 or 1. But at the time was not pleased. And so I think that everything that we've really experienced has just been the grids are either overtaxed or there's just, things that need to be updated and haven't been. So it's not so much about them planning, it's about they need to replace these things, and they have like a 2-year plan to do it.
So that's concerning with all the new growth and building going in our area. How are
It
we
is.
going to handle, we can't even handle existing, and when they add more to the grid, is it going to become more frequent?
Yeah, I mean, that's my personal concern is, there's a lot of really interesting things happening, and if they're not going to have the grid changes done for a couple of years, what does that mean in the meantime if we're already having problems? Yeah, I'm in the same place with it. That's my concern, is that, power outages happen, we all know that, but these have been very frequent. We've had probably at least 6 brownouts, but we've had 3 like full blackouts that lasted at least 2 hours in the course of 4 or 5 weeks. So that's excessive, in my opinion.
No, I agree. I've been impacted by some of them also, and Kent works at home too, so.
Yeah. It is challenged. So that's all the information I have, but I'm going to just personally be looking into it more because it's a little scary. It can cause some problems. So hopefully they can do something to, give us something in between until these new changes are made. I get that they'll take time. Totally get that, but we still live here. All right. So I have nothing else on my side. Vicky, Tom, Lauren, Lena, anything for open floor?
I don't have anything.
Okay. I think that might be the fastest Merion Village meeting on record, possibly. 36 minutes. So thank you so much for being here, both of you. We'll see you next month. Obviously, be sure to check out everything happening at the park and summer fun days. Get your t-shirts ordered, and yeah, we'll see everybody in a month.
Thanks,
Bye, everyone. Have a great night.